Hello and welcome to the first episode of the new section Someone Should Build This, where I'm going to be explaining ideas that I have, but that I don't have enough time or resources to actually work in it. So I'm going to be giving them for free so that someone can build it. And if someone wants to build it and builds it, I'd really appreciate that you can tell me, hey, I built that and it worked. So it's not that I want any part of it, just I'd be proud that some of those ideas are live. For the first idea of this section, I come with PostOnly. Basically an application or something, an extension or something that helps you post to social media without the distractions. All those ideas I'll be sharing a similar structure, so I'll present the idea itself, which would be the market fit, which would be the users, the marketing strategy, etc. But a bit different each of them. But you can imagine that the structure will be similar among all the ideas. In this case, here you can see the product name I thought of is PostOnly. So there's the domain available, postonly.app. Then still there are alternatives such as postlog or creator mode, but I went for the PostOnly. That is the one that I like the most. As a one-line value proposition, it would be use social media only to post, not to consume. And the target audience would be people who create content or that run projects that use social media, but want to avoid addictive social media consumption, just posting on them. The core problem that this project solves is that social media platforms are designed to maximize consumption, not creation. So users open Instagram or X or any of these applications to post, but they get trapped in feeds, reels, and notifications. And what was expected to be minutes, they turn into hours of unplanned scrolling without actually being productive. Who experiences this? Basically, I'd say everyone, but the target would be maybe content creators, indie founders, freelancers, entrepreneurs, or people trying to reduce the screen time but still need the social media posting part. Which is the frequency that the people experiences that? It's daily, and often multiple times per day that you just realize you have opened the social media and you are just scrolling there. Then the question that arises is why the existing solution failed? It's not that they fail, but there are different solutions in the market now. For example, the screen time blockers, they block everything, including posting. So if you need to post, those are not a valid solution for you. Then there are application limits that the phones have, but they are really easy to override. You just click a button and say, I want to continue, and that's all. Then there are willpower based solutions, but they fail under stress. And finally, the platform focus modes that are just cosmetics that do not really work as this application would. So which would be the solution? Here, PostOnly allows users to access social media only for posting, while blocking feeds, exploring pages, and infinite scroll. So how it's better than the other things? So it's purpose-built for creators, not detox for social media. It blocks consumption, not functionality, like you still can post, and it works at the interface level, not via self-control. So the core promise of this would be that you can post without getting sucked in the social media itself. So a real world example would be that the founder opens Instagram, so he or she can upload a reel or post, they can reply to DMs or comments, but the feed, the reels, and the explore section are blocked. So the application auto closes after posting. This is an example just for Instagram, but it would be replicated to the other social medias. So which would be the user flow of our application here? So first, the user installs the PostOnly. It could either be an extension for the browser or an application for the phone. Then they select the platforms in which they want to use it. Then they choose which actions are allowed, like post, reply, upload, depending on what they want. And then all consumption surfaces are blocked. So anything outside the one choice that the user made, it's blocked on the screen. And finally, maybe an optional session timer that auto exits after the task is completed. which would be the key features for an MVP, for example. So the feed blocking, the Reels shorts blocking, the toggle for post-only mode, sessions that are limited on time, and finally platform-specific rules, because it's not the same the ones that work for X or for Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. So each one have their own. And some things that we would not include initially in the first version, just to keep our focus, would be no analytics dashboards, no AI content generation, no habit coaching or gamification, and no social network replacement. Maybe in the future they can somehow get into it, but initially it's important that we don't put the focus there, because otherwise everything would grow too much. So which would be the unique value propositions for this idea? So if we compare to alternatives, the screen blockers are too aggressive, so you just block the screen. The platform controls are too weak, as we said, it's just a cosmetic. And finally, the willpower is unreliable. So if we compare this solution to workarounds, so logging out, it has quite a friction, because you need to log in, log out all the time. Using secondary devices, it's impractical. You just want to do it in your own device. And just don't scroll, it's unrealistic. I mean, all the users who would use this have tried to not scroll, but they end up scrolling for sure. And why would this application be hard to replace? Basically, because it becomes a part of your daily posting routine. Also, it creates an habit loop around focus creation, and we want that users feel this immediate time savings. Then how could we target the market? Basically, the first or the primary persona would be the focus creator. So someone who posts 3 to 7 times per week, at least one per day, that uses social media for business, not entertainment, and that values productivity and mental clarity. Also, in addition to this main persona, there would be secondary personas such as indie hackers, freelancers, small business owners, students with side projects, but we need to focus on someone. With that, the market size, and this is an estimation, it would be that the total addressable market is more than 300 million people, because are the social media creators globally. The serviceable available market is around 30 to 50 million semi-professional creators, and if we want the obtainable market, early would be 100 to 500k users. So it's something that it has a market. And which would be a possible adoption pattern? So the early adopters would be productivity-focused users, and then as it becomes mainstream, if it works, then burned out social media users would also use this application or extension. On the competitive landscape, we see that there's no direct competition, so no one focuses exclusively on post-only access. However, if we go for an indirect competitors, there's some things such as Freedom, Opal, OneSec, or iOS, Android Screen Time, the applications themselves in the phones. However, if we check on the table below, we see that no one goes all the way around all those 4 things. So there's no thing, or at least I didn't find anything that blocks the feed but allows posting, it's focus for the creator, and it's lightweight. So this would be the differentiation part of this application or extension. Regarding the business model or monetization, because we saw that there's people that would be able to use it, we kind of saw that there's a market there, but how could we monetize that? So the primary revenue could be a subscription model, so even monthly or yearly. I guess that if you ask $5 to $8 or euros a month, that becomes those 40, 60 euros a year. People would be willing to pay if you actually do the things properly. And in addition to that, there's a secondary option such as creator team plans, agency bundles, lifetime deals, etc. But I think that the subscription model would work here. Why users would pay? Basically because we are promising here a 30 to 90 minutes a day savings, direct productivity return, and an emotional relief from guilt scrolling. So basically the free versus paid, we could say that for free we have one platform and basic blocking, but then if you pay, you can have multi-platform schedules and advanced rules and functionalities. So you could work in a kind of freemium model if you need. As a go-to-market strategy, as we said, we need to focus initially in someone. So our first users would be some indie hackers, creators on X and LinkedIn that maybe are the social media that work the best for this, some productivity YouTubers and founders that build in public. The distribution channels would be the web store if it's an extension for the Chrome, or the Twitter or X and Threads, Product Hunt, creators newsletters, Reddit, so different posts to put this tool on, and the markets if it's an extension. And the growth loop would be like adding some content towards how I stopped scrolling, using some posts, publicly sharing of blog time saved, and endorsing creators. Possible roadmap would be initially to just use an initial phase for validation. You just create a landing page with a demo, video, or GIF, then an email waitlist and a manual prototype, so just some CSS and JavaScript fit blocking. And with that, there's really low risk because you can do that in less than a weekend. And the risk here would be that there's low interest. So if it happens, you just have a fast iteration on messaging to see what the people want, but you have something working. The phase 2, if you see that the validation has worked and there's people willing to have it, it's just to create either a Chrome extension that works with Instagram and X with a very basic rules engine and a simple payment plus onboarding. So nothing too fancy, something that works. The risk here is that the platform changes. So if Instagram or X change, then your extension may break. But the mitigation is, as I said, narrow the scope so that there's not too many things you tackle, and then you can iterate fast and update fast to fix those changes that the platforms do. And finally, if this works and you get traction and users, the third phase would be the growth, where you could add some mobile support exploration for the applications, add more platforms, add some plans for creators, partnership with other brands, etc. Here the risk would be some platform policy issues, but since you are already here with a solid project, the mitigation would be to work with the extension first strategy and then start working bit a bit and actually doing proper steps without just going crazy. And this is basically my first idea that I propose in this section. As you can see, I did quite an exhaustive analysis, and this is what I expect to do in the future for other ideas. If you like the idea, please tell me in the comments. If you want to get more ideas like that, remember to subscribe. I plan on doing those kind of videos once every week or every 2 weeks. And as I said, if you work on that, please let me know so that I'm aware if this idea gets somewhere. If you also have some ideas that you want me to put on the videos, just put it in the comments and we'll see it in the future. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and see you next time.